Coming up on today's show, we're going to explore a very wild story that came out about DeAndre Hopkins' visit to the Titans and what might be a crucial mistake if they don't end up getting the all-pro wide receiver. And then we're going to take a look at the NFL Supplemental Draft that is right around the corner. And there is one player in it, but he does happen to come at a position of need for Tennessee. So all that coming up on today's edition of the show. Now, quick disclaimer, as a UT alum, I do have the Tennessee-Stanford game up, so if you see me melt down in the middle of the video, well, you know why. But hopefully Tennessee holds on to this 6-4 lead. Now, before we get into the DeAndre Hopkins portion of the show, help us grow this channel by sharing our video over on Twitter. It's a good way to help us reach a new audience. And if you share it on Twitter and tag @ChatSports, I'll give shout-outs to everyone who does so. So tag Chat Sports, the mothership. That way our boss can see that Titans fans are well represented online, and you can help grow the channel in the process. Now, let's talk DeAndre Hopkins, because we all know he visited Nashville last week. He went to the CMAs. He had a good time, all that good stuff. But an interesting detail appears to have emerged that I wanted to share with everyone. On the Pat McAfee show, we had Michael Lombardi saying, D-Hop is looking for a contract that's similar to Odell Beckham got. I know Tennessee did a tremendous job when he was there, but they flew him out on Southwest. No. You cannot fly DeAndre Hopkins on Southwest Airlines. I fly Southwest Airlines, and I don't even want to. And do I look like anyone that will be suiting up in the NFL anytime soon? I hope that he was boarding Group A. Otherwise, it's a miracle that he even got on the plane. You cannot put an NFL player on Southwest Airlines. Now, I know that Vrabel said he is no longer in the college recruiting business, so I don't know if this was his ultimate test to know if this guy wants to play for Tennessee. And if he gets on a Southwest Airlines flight, then that definitely shows he's at least interested. But boys and girls in Nashville, we have to do better. We cannot put DeAndre Hopkins on a Southwest flight. He's lucky that he even has a seat. More often than not, you're holding onto the wing when you fly Southwest. If I had to rank my top 5 airlines, Delta's number 1. Now, I didn't grow up a Delta guy. Usually grew up a United guy, but have recently made the switch. United Airlines number 2. I've got American at 3, and I do put Southwest ahead of Spirit Airlines when it comes to the poverty airlines. So Southwest at 4, Spirit at 5. I'm so sorry, DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, that is something you write a memoir about. There should be a 30 for 30 about the time the Tennessee Titans tried to get DeAndre Hopkins, but stuck him on a middle seat in a Southwest Airlines flight. So what is your favorite airlines? I know this has nothing to do with Tennessee Titans football, but it is June. Things are a bit slow, so it's fun to ask off-the-wall questions, and it looks like we have an error maybe for Stanford. Okay, more on this later. But let's talk about DeAndre Hopkins here. So he did visit with the Titans and the Patriots. Now, there are rumors circulating whether or not he would only sign with a contender. He appears to be open to either, right? I don't think Tennessee or New England is one player away from going on a Super Bowl run. They are certainly not one of the favorites to win it all in the AFC. Now, it is pretty well known at this point he wants the Odell Beckham Jr. contract and probably a bit more. And if you don't remember, that was a 1-year, $15 million contract. The last 4 years, DeAndre Hopkins has shown he can still put up very productive numbers. Last year, only played 9 games, but still 717 yards and 3 touchdowns. Sure, he's on the wrong side of 30. I am guessing his best days are behind him, but I still think he can be a very productive wide receiver, and this is not going to be another Julio Jones example in Tennessee. If I had to predict, I'm guessing the Titans made him a contract offer that was pretty sizable, and he is probably weighing through all of his options right now, and he's going to wait because there is nothing that's going to change between today and July 28th or whenever all the NFL training camps are underway, because he wants to see if a contending team that, let's be honest, is a little bit closer to winning a Super Bowl than the 7-win Titans were last year. And if they throw him the same amount of money that Tennessee does, he'll probably go to that team, right? If Kansas City decides to blink and give DeAndre Hopkins whatever the Titans offered him, I'm sure he'll pick the Chiefs over the Titans. But if no team that is closer to winning a Super Bowl than the Titans are come a knocking, then the Titans are sitting pretty right now. But we'll have to wait and see if the Titans and the Patriots made the same offer, what he values as a better team, right? Bill O'Brien, the ugly butt chin, or Tennessee, live in Nashville, go out on Broadway, do all the touristy things. We'll have to wait and find out. Now, before we get on to the rest of the show, we are having a bit of a sub battle this month with our Texans channel. I pulled up the YouTube analytic numbers, and Texans Today has 83 subs so far in the month of June. Titans Today only has 71. If that does not sit well with you, and you do not like the Texans, and you look forward to beating the Texans while wearing Oilers jerseys this year, well, make sure to subscribe down below. That way you can get the best free Titans content. Shifting gears, let's talk about the NFL Supplemental Draft. So it is returning on July 11th. For the first time since 2019, the Cardinals picked a player in 2019, and his name is escaping me right now. But there is really only one player in the supplemental draft. It is not like the NFL draft. There is just one. It is a Purdue wide receiver named Milton Wright. And there are some notable guys who have come out of the supplemental draft. Josh Gordon is probably the biggest recent example when the Browns took him in the second round in 2012. Now, if you don't know what the supplemental draft is, basically what it is, it's an opportunity for players who were not in the NFL draft in April, but are not eligible to return to college this upcoming fall to still have a path to the NFL. So players get entered in the supplemental draft that weren't in the NFL draft for whatever reason. In this case, it's because Milton Wright was academically ineligible from Purdue this past season, but he can't go back to college in 2023. So the supplemental draft is his only path. Now, what happens is teams have a silent auction, and they bid a first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh. And if they are the winning bid, then they forfeit that pick in next year's draft. Now, some background on the 6'3", 295-pound Boilermaker. He had a pretty good career in West Lafayette. He led Purdue in touchdowns in 2021 receiving-wise, and that was with a guy named David Bell on his team, who was a third-round pick by the Browns not much later. Rondale Moore was also in that receiving trio, a day 2 pick by the Arizona Cardinals, and Milton Wright still put up some great numbers in his career. 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns over 3 seasons, so there is a lot of optimism behind Milton Wright about him being a productive player in the NFL if he can continue what he was doing in college. And then you look at Tennessee's wide receiver production, and it's a largely untested group, right? Treylon Burks is hopefully going to take a big sophomore step this year. Nick Westbrook-Akeen, I've always said, is a bit of an underrated guy, kind of flies under the radar, and he might get some more recognition with more targets coming his way. But Kyle Phillips, is a very young, untested day 3 pick from a year ago. So we're going to learn a lot about him and the rest of this wide receiver room that I've always said can stand to add another player, whether it's DeAndre Hopkins or whether it's just exploring your supplemental draft options in Milton Wright. I don't have a good sense of what Milton Wright goes for in a supplemental draft. We haven't had one since 2019. I'm not going to stand here and lecture you guys and pretend to know what Milton Wright's supplemental draft value is. I don't know if it's a third. It's definitely not a first. Definitely not a second. You're just not getting that kind of pick, compensation for a guy who didn't play at all last year and has never gone over 1,000 yards in his collegiate career. But maybe a 5th, 6th, or 7th, right? If a team thinks that he could be the next Josh Gordon and that's a really good day 3 steal, well, Milton Wright might be right for someone else. But the Titans, at the end of the day, they should explore and don't leave any stone unturned at the wide receiver position, right? They have to check every single box because this room is largely untested, like I said. And you need to make sure you have the best possible options. They clearly have some interest in improving it. Otherwise, they would not have had DeAndre Hopkins come visit Nashville. But for now, I think they should definitely explore all avenues. And if Milton Wright's not the guy, okay, no problem. But I do hope that Ran Carthon is doing his homework on him and is not just throwing on 30 minutes of tape and calling it a day, because this wide receiver room should look into every option for improvement. Now, speaking of it, what's your confidence level? Scale it 1 to 10. For me, I'm probably at a, what did I say in like the last video or so a few years ago? I think I'm at a 4.8. I know that is on the low side, and some of you guys are going to get really mad at me in the comment section, but I don't see a reason to believe that it's going to be much better than that, other than hoping that Treylon Burks takes a huge step forward this year, and the other guys are also big contributors. So for me, I'm at a 4.8. Now, some other quick things before we get on out of here. The NBA draft is just a few days away, and if you don't want to watch it with the boring, average Joes over at ESPN, come hang out with us here at Globo Gym. Chat Sports has the best NBA draft coverage, the entirety of it. There are no Taco Bell commercials during future MVPs getting selected. So hang out with us this Thursday night for the NBA draft. Once again, make sure to share our video today on social media. If you tag Chat Sports, I'll be sure to give you a shout out on a future episode. Subscribe along and follow along for more Titans news and rumors coverage. We're going to sign off. We're going to see everyone later, and go Vols.